Hi guys, so this is the third video of Proverbs 31, and we'll be looking at verses 19 through 31. And it reads like this: In her hand she holds the distaff and grasps the spindle with her fingers. She opens her arms to the poor and extends her hands to the needy. When it snows, she has no fear for her household, for all of them are clothed in scarlet. She makes coverings for her bed. She is clothed in fine linen and purple. Her husband is respected at the city gate, where he takes his seat among the elders of the land. She makes linen garments and sells them, and supplies the merchants with sashes. She is clothed with strength and dignity. She can laugh at the days to come. She speaks with wisdom, and faithful instruction is on her tongue. She watches over the affairs of her household and does not eat the bread of idleness. Her children arise and call her blessed, her husband also, and he praises her. Many women do noble things, but you surpass them all. Charm is deceptive, and beauty is fleeting, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. Honor her for all that her hands have done, and let her works bring her praise at the city gate. So, I don't think that there's any more points I can introduce, so I'm just gonna kind of use this video to talk a little bit more about the points that I introduced in the last video. And so let's look at let's first start with the yellow, because I think that correlated with the first point that I made. She speaks with wisdom, and faithful instruction is on her tongue. So when we talk about your spouse, the person God has destined specifically for you, you're talking about someone who is going to be a good influence on you, right? Someone who is going to help you progress, help you develop as an individual, right? Strengthen your character, strengthen your resolve, right? Encourage your aspirations, right? Help you to fulfill the calling that God has put on your life, and do the things that God has instructed you to do. And that's because of wisdom, right? That's because of the influence of God Himself on that person. And so that's why it's important that you are with someone of faith, and God is probably going to make sure that happens, because it's only somebody of faith who is really able to uh, to to have that impact on you, to have that positive impact, and to really be your right hand in your marriage. And so that's important. And let me see our second point. Provision, right? You're talking about you want somebody who's going to prioritize your children, right? And so I think we were looking at green for that one, right? Verse 21 says, when it snows, she has no fear for her household. Why? For all of them are clothed in scarlet. That means that they're not, that the linen and the fabric of their clothes are such that they are not cold, right? The elements are not going to negatively affect them. And it is only because of that mindset, right? That mentality that, yes, these are my children, and I'm going to make sure they're not going to be cold at night. They're going to have clothes appropriate for the season. They're going to have food. They're going to have water. They're going to have education, whatever else that is required. And so that is indicative uh, of what it means to be a good spouse. You have to take care of your children. You have to take care of your children. You have somebody who is not interested in that, that's probably not who God has for you. And so you definitely want to keep that in mind if in fact children are part of the equation. Verse 27, she watches over the affairs of her household and does not eat the bread of idleness. That means that your spouse is going to be in charge. Whoever is at home, whoever has the most ability to take care of the children, and generally what you find is that uh, females have a natural ability, a God-given ability to really take care of children. It is in them. It is an innate uh, uh, understanding, right? How to rear uh, children and make sure that they're taken care of and look out for them and all of that. And so that's what you want, right, for your spouse, and that's what God wants for you. And our third point, I think, um, having a heart for the less fortunate, having a heart for really not even just the less fortunate, having a heart for people in general, right? Regardless of who they are, because they're fellow human beings. That's what Christ, right, has called us to do. And you see that here. You see the parallel. A lot of this stuff is that this is what Christ was like, right? Uh, you know, Christ did not, uh, you know, distinguish, between persons based on their, uh, uh, economic or social status. Um, you know, and so, God wants your spouse to be the same way. God wants your spouse to have that heart, the heart of Christ, the heart of God, right? So this is verse 20. She opens her arms to the poor and extends her hands to the needy. Verse 24. She makes linen garments and sells them and supplies the merchants with sashes. She didn't have to do that, but it is her heart that compels her, right, to do. I keep saying her, but it's the same thing for men. It's the same thing for me. You know why? Because it when you have a heart like that to do stuff for people, when you go to a restaurant and you always give not a bare minimum tip, but a a blessed tip, right? You want to give them a tip that making me like, oh my goodness, this man did not have to give me that kind of tip. When you do stuff like that, when you're constantly considering other people and really uh, uh, showing the kindness and the love of God, that's what you want for your spouse. That's who God wants for you. And that's going to translate into the relationship. Because if you can do that for other people, then you can do it for your spouse. You should, right? You should be do not just that, but more. You can have heart for your spouse. You can love your spouse. You can feel a sense of devotion to them. And so it's not going to be anything for you to, make sacrifices and whatever, for them, because you'll actually have a desire, a God-given desire to do that. So that's who God wants for you. God wants you to have somebody who's going to take care of you, somebody who's going to have you in at the forefront. And you need to have that person at the forefront, especially if they have given unto themselves for your sake, right?